This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey buddy.
Hey.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 5 of Curbcast, The Five Wood. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are halfway through Season 4, buddy. How exciting.
Yes, halfway.
Yes, as Bon Jovi said in the year 1987. 86? I don't know.
We're halfway there.
Yeah.
And we're living on a Larry prayer.
Well, yeah, we're living on a prayer for Larry.
Yeah.
We're living on a prayer that Larry doesn't fuck up this episode, and he certainly fucks up with Jeff.
That's a prayer that will fail every time.
Absolutely. But him and Jeff fail this time round.
You can't unscramble an egg.
No.
You can't unfuck Larry's fuck ups.
No, you can't. But this time Jeff is complicit in Larry's dealing.
Yeah, Jeff's a bit dodgy in this episode, as we'll get into a bit later.
Indeed.
We have some social media. Curbcast Pod is our handle. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. We have an email address as well, curbcastpod@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook group called Curb Your Enthusiasms, so check that out. And if you want to help or support us, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/mishmash media. And it would be awesome if you rated it and reviewed us on your podcast app of choice, or just told someone about us who may be a Seinfeld fan or a Curb fan who might enjoy what we're doing. That would be amazing.
Yes, and it also helps with the algorithm as well.
Yes.
We feature more in like TV shows or Curb Your Enthusiasm podcasts.
Yeah, it gives us a bit more visibility and it bumps us up a bit. So that would be awesome if you don't mind doing that.
Yes, that'd be amazing. Anyway, The Five Wood, Season 4, Episode 5, first aired in the US on February 1st, 2004. In this episode, still thinking that he flirted with her, Delilah, the hygienist from last episode, so her name's Delilah, we find out, officially asks Larry out, but Oscar the dog causes a problem. Leo Funkhauser succumbs to the good Hodgkins. That's Mr. Funkhauser, the late Mr. Funkhauser. During the viewing, Larry is disgusted to see what appears to be his five wood in the casket with Leo, and asks Jeff to switch clubs with Leo. Probably one of the most morbid things he's ever done.
Yeah.
Fucked up. The result of the incident finds Larry being kicked out of the country club and having to cheat his way into a Republican club. So there you go. Yes, we went to the Ronald Reagan Foundation.
Yeah, we met
a
a
Ronald Reagan fundraiser.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm a moose and an elk. Is that what he says? I'm an elk and
something like that.
Some stupid club.
Some weird shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this scene 1, Larry is doing a dance rehearsal with David Schwimmer, who's Ben's replacement.
Yeah, they kind of just smashed him in. Like, they indicated that he was going to come on board, but he just turns up. Like, there's no like, oh, by the way, David's coming today to rehearse. It's just, here he is.
No, he's straight in it. Yeah, smash cuts basically straight into the same rehearsal.
Yeah,
room.
like when they introduced Ben, I think in episode 1 or 2?
1. Oh, well, 1, 2 for the rehearsals, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
1 in the producers.
Yeah, like,
scene.
there was a soft introduction. It's like, Larry runs into Ben, and then he turns up to rehearsal and is like, hey guys, I'm here, let's start.
Yeah.
But David is just, here he is dancing.
Straight in. He's straight in. Yeah, David. And he has the moves, David.
Yeah.
He's not too bad.
Yeah, for a taller, lankier guy, he's pretty nimble.
Yeah, very nimble. Yeah, I think there's a lot of physical comedy he did in Friends as
True.
well. So probably,
Yeah.
probably was there as well. So anyway, David Schwimmer is Ben's replacement. And unlike previous episodes, the choreographer is in Larry is in the choreographer's good books. He's very happy with Larry's dancing, and he says he's improved a lot.
Yeah, I think he's just happy with the fact that Larry's obviously dedicated to getting better, and he's gotten better, and it shows.
Yeah.
And that's he didn't really like Larry prior. I think he was a bit frustrated by the fact that he couldn't tap dance as fast, and maybe he was just a bit old and a bit more inexperienced as a stage performer.
But he's just gotten better and better.
Yeah, and he's really happy with that.
Yeah, he's extremely happy. They're almost like friends.
Yeah, yeah.
No pun intended with David Schwimmer. David asks if he's doing okay, and the dancer says, yeah, you'll get better. And he keeps heaping praise on Larry, and David
he's
looks
a bit dismissive of David.
Yeah, David looks a bit dejected.
Yeah, he looks like Ross, just like,
Yeah, he
like,
has that look.
Like sad boy look.
That look of self-defeat. Yeah, that sad boy look as well. He's always like self-defeating. Larry chats with David. God, this sounds so weird to say, doesn't it? Larry David chats to David.
Yeah.
Larry David Schwimmer.
Schwimmer.
That'll save on production costs.
Yeah, that'll save on printing costs.
That'll save on printing costs, that's right. Larry chats with David about the rehearsal and if they want to keep practicing. David says he's seeing his dad, who owns a mixed nuts company called Health Glow, as Larry offers some business suggestions to his dad to see if David can pitch those ideas to him. And David shakes his head and says, everyone always has ideas. It's like, you're not the first one, man. And he's very, very dismissive of Larry, which is fair.
Yeah, well, I think David handles it well because he says, you're a writer. It's like when people would come up to you and pitch writing ideas because they think they're as awesome as you, and you're probably like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I wrote Seinfeld. I don't need your ideas. It's similar.
Yeah,
so
very
I think
similar,
the fact that he makes it relatable to Larry is a good way to handle it.
Yeah.
Because he makes Larry even though he doesn't listen to him, at least he understands how it would feel for David and his father, for all these people coming up and pitching mixed nut ideas.
No, it's
Yeah.
fucked. But you can see, like, David, like, even though David's still tolerant of Larry at the moment, I think we'll see the wheels start falling off very
Yeah, he's
soon.
not as feisty as Ben. He's a bit more placid.
He's more placid, he's more reserved, isn't he? But I
Yeah.
think I think we'll see David go into, like, full Ross mode.
Yeah.
On this show.
Yeah.
I have a feeling things will go down.
Yeah.
In the next scene, the Larry and the dancer, after rehearsals, are walking to go get food. As he says, the chemistry between Larry and David Schwimmer is way better than Ben. And the choreographer, like, claims that Ben had a bad attitude and talks down about Ben.
Yeah, he's a bit disparaging. It might just be too because he likes Larry now. Maybe he's
Yeah.
just trying to sort of curry a bit of favor with him,
Yeah.
or just
Or maybe he just always changes face. Like, maybe when
Yeah.
Ben was there, he's like, oh, Ben, you're fantastic. And our
Yeah.
Ben's guy's like, well, Ben, that bastard.
yeah, that's true. He's probably just a bit
Yeah.
two-faced.
I think he's a very two-faced person.
Yeah.
They appear to become good friends. The dancer says that his friend Anthony was meant to come to the rehearsal, who he is trying to set up, but he is a doctor, Anthony, so he wasn't able to come. They're in the like a little grocery store as Larry spots Health Glow packets. So they've got like the mixed nuts and the berries and
Yeah,
fruits.
that's
and all that stuff.
David Schwimmer's dad's company.
That's right, as we mentioned before. And he looks at it and he complains about the lack of nuts in the packet. He's like,
3 or 4 cashews.
yeah, it's like 3 or 4 cashews. What is this?
Yeah.
It's like mostly raisins in here. Larry buys a couple of packets. Later on, Larry chats to his receptionist, who we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since he's been to his office.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think maybe last season he went in a couple of times.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
But his office was a more common setting in season 1 and 2, but last season I guess a lot of his time was taken up by the restaurant.
Yes.
You know, that's where a lot of scenes were set.
Hmm.
But this one I guess because this season's focus is more entertainment stuff, it would make sense that he's back in his office rather than a restaurant, which is, you know, outside of the entertainment world.
Yeah,
Kind of makes sense that it's more affiliated with what he's doing this season, which is stage production.
Yep.
He's a writer. You know,
He's back behind the scenes.
It's
He's
more
behind the
closely
desk.
related.
Yeah,
You know.
he's back behind the desk.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, he's back into more the creative pursuits.
Yeah, rather than the culinary.
Because he's got to read his scripts and
Yeah.
his scripts, so he might have to sit behind the desk and
Exactly.
and learn everything wrote. So yeah, the receptionist gives him a thank you gift for getting here Tonight Show tickets. I think Tonight Show at the time was that Jay Leno? The Tonight Show
Yeah, I think so.
might have been like the late end of Jay Leno.
It was
maybe
the
like
late show.
last-
Was it
The Tonight Show. Now it's Jimmy Fallon, obviously.
Yeah,
I think he took over from Jay Leno.
Yeah,
Probably
that's
like,
right.
10 years ago or something.
Yeah, because there's Up Late with Conan O'Brien.
The
Late Show with David Letterman and the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Yeah, that's right.
So it would have been Jay Leno. I know Jay Leno probably had like another 10 years. I think.
No, Jimmy Fallon and Jay Leno had shows at the same time. So
Yeah, but then Fallon took over Tonight Show
right.
5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago or something.
Did he take
I
over
don't know.
Letterman? No.
No, not Letterman. No. Fallon, I think, took over Leno.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
I think it's the Tonight Show. Let us know, guys. Send us an email, curbcastpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We're not really too we're not too versed in American late night TV.
It's too late. I'm in bed.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
All I remember is like Letterman back in the day.
Yeah.
And Conan.
Yeah, I know all the hosts and their personalities, but
Yeah.
the actual which show they did,
Yeah,
who took
yeah.
over who, couldn't tell you.
But I'm pretty sure at this point it was Jay Leno was the host of the Tonight Show.
Probably, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's important to mention, you kind of missed it in the previous scene as well, that when Larry and the choreographer, what's his name?
Ooh, I think is it Steve?
Steve. It is Steve.
Might be Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're leaving rehearsal and when they're at the convenience store and they find the Health Glow, Larry is acting very, very camp.
Oh,
Like
yes.
he's
I forgot to mention that.
because it's
Yes,
implied.
yes.
Well, I guess it's not implied, but Stephen is a very typically camp choreographer, like a stereotypical theatre person who's very camp and very bit over the top, very boisterous.
Right.
And Larry, now that they're friends, Larry is sort of copying his mannerisms,
copying, yes.
and he's like
Yes.
he's a bit more animated with his hands. His voice is a bit more high pitched.
That's right.
He's embodying more of those typical camp stereotypes.
Yes, yes.
And you can see that very obviously as they're walking to the shop and as they're in the shop
That's
looking
right.
for snacks.
Sorry, yes, I of course that's an important part of that scene.
Yeah, because it kind of sets
yeah.
up a lot of the rest of the episode.
A lot of the yes, it does. Thank you. Yes, I totally forgot to mention that. Yes, he
That's
becomes
right.
more camp, and that adds to the episode. That's right. So the receptionist, gives Larry a picture frame and with a gift, and it has like a picture of like a male model or
It's
something.
just, I think it's just a generic picture that you see, that are in frames.
those generic pictures of like
Just stock
families.
photos.
Yeah, stock photos. I think it's like a stock photo of like some
Just a hot
guy.
90s guy.
Yeah,
Just typical male model.
typical like snag. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also has a message from the dental hygienist Delilah from the last episode. episodes. There you go. The scene cuts to Larry on the phone at his desk with her, and she officially asks him out. And she says that Larry gave her the tongue sign at the dentist, which is what, attracted her to him.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, we can go for dinner or something. I think Thursday night or something, they said. Something like that. Yeah, all right, let's do it. Sounds good.
I'm surprised Larry, he seems a tiny bit nervous or a bit surprised.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, this is actually happening. But, given his previous attempts at trying to woo women, even though she's coming on to him, so he's got less to be nervous. He's got a bit more to be confident about.
Yeah.
I can still see Larry bumbling his way, like turning her off by just being a bumbling idiot. Like he handles it pretty well on the phone, given how surprised he would be. And given how quickly it's moving, and also given the fact that he's sort of screwed up a few other opportunities.
Yeah. I'm surprised the 10th anniversary fucker's still on, though, because I thought Cheryl had that outburst with Richard's niece.
Well, when Larry's committed to something, he's just like, well,
he just does it against his wife's wishes.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to fuck her anyway.
Well, Cheryl has a right to go back on her promise because, 2 episodes ago, we discussed that when she saw Larry touching Richard's
niece, quote unquote.
Yeah, friend's daughter's boobs.
Yes.
That was a bit of a long-winded
it was, yeah.
connection there. The reality set in of what she promised, and it was probably a bit too much for her.
Yes.
Going back on that and saying, you know what, I retract what I've promised to you because I don't think I'll be able to handle it. Like that's fine. Like that's it's heavier than what she thought it would be.
Yeah.
But Larry's a very principled person in some ways, where he's just like, no, you gave me your word.
You got to
regardless of your feelings or whether it would potentially compromise the health of our marriage.
Yeah.
I'm still going to pursue it. Or maybe they had a discussion where she's like, regardless of how I feel, I'm a woman of my word.
Yeah, I think
something like that.
I think it's that. Even though Larry has no empathy.
Yeah,
I still think that maybe off screen Cheryl was like,
it's my problem. I'll figure it. I'll deal with it. It's my problem.
Yeah, it's your problem, and as long as it's a once off, and you've got till our anniversary to do it,
yep.
That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So anyway, that happens, and he hangs up the phone. Steve, the choreographer, comes in and has Larry's script and leaves it on a seat. And I love this part. He spots Larry's photo frame with the stock picture of the Hot 90s guy. And the dancer kind of looks at Larry like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's getting some gaydar kind of vibes.
Yeah.
His gaydar's going off.
Yeah. He thinks that it's, Larry's young hot boyfriend and is, piecing it all together. He's like, maybe I can hook him up with my doctor friend.
Yeah.
Maybe, you can see the cogs turning.
You can. And actually, the guy in the photo does look like Anthony the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Like the brunette hair. He looks like a doctor from ER or something.
Yeah.
From the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a hunk.
A hunk, yeah, a hunk doctor. Grey's Anatomy really ruined it, didn't it? With all that hunk stuff.
Did it? I don't know. I never really watched Grey's.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy, yeah. Well, the main guy is like a handsome dude.
Right.
Patrick Dempsey.
Yep.
And then all the doctors and nurses read each other.
Okay.
And you watch lots of like YouTube videos of like actual doctors, and they review like TV shows like Grey's Anatomy.
I think it's GQ magazine who did it, like an expert reviews movie scenes.
There's a guy called Dr. Mike.
Okay.
He's also like a handsome dog. He's like one of those hunky doctors as well. But even he's like in Grey's Anatomy, like that's bullshit. Like doctors and nurses, like so busy.
Yeah.
We don't.
And also,
have time
I imagine
to, like,
there's probably like an ethical.
Yeah.
One, something there. Like it would be considered a bit unethical.
A bit unethical as well
for doctors to root nurses and stuff.
And he's like, dude, we have so much. We're looking after so many patients. It's like we don't have time to go into like a closet and fuck each other. It's like it doesn't work.
Everyone
that way.
in this intensive care is already fucked.
Yeah.
So our job is to unfuck people, not to fuck people.
There's enough fuckery here. There's people with good Hodgkins in here. There's people with bad Hodgkins.
All the Hodgkins.
All the Hodgkins. There's people with everything there. Yeah.
It's like a deli window of Hodgkins. Just like whatever you want. Salami, pepperoni, cabanossi,
mortadella,
mozzarella.
All the stages of the mix.
Yeah, gabagool.
Gabagool. It's all there, yes. But yeah, that's the case, yes. So I don't think that would be the case.
No.
Anyway, at the golf club, Larry tells Jeff, I'd say the same golf club from the last episode rather. Larry tells Jeff about what happened and that they have dinner coming up on Thursday, so him and Delilah. He says it could be the 10th anniversary present. Jeff is very happy for Larry and says, good luck, man.
He's like, your wife, this is your wife's promise to you.
Exactly.
He's very, Larry is expressing a tiny bit of self-doubt here. He's like, now that it's a bit more real, like he's got an actual prospect on the table of actually, fulfilling this wish.
That's right.
He's a bit kind of like Cheryl, where like the idea of it was fun and, enticing, but the reality of it is a bit more, whoa, like this is actually
It's actually
there's,
happening,
there's
yeah.
actually some weight.
And-
Larry's
yeah.
just like the idea, fantasizing about the idea
And
of
then
like,
Jeff is really into it as
but
well.
Jeff's really in his corner
Yeah,
in the scene.
yeah.
He's like, no, you got to go through with
You
it.
gotta
Like
finish it, yeah.
you know, this may be your only opportunity. I think he
And
says
she's
like
actually going for you this time, rather
Yeah.
than the other way around, so you don't have to pursue.
and he kind of frames it in a way of like, you're doing this not only for you, but you're doing it for Cheryl because
Yeah.
this is what she wants.
She wants
this.
it at the time,
She
yeah.
wants this because she's your wife.
That's right. Yes. I forgot to mention they're in the locker room in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
They've just had a round of
Finished
golf.
a round of golf and
they're
they're getting
just,
changed.
They're getting changed.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention that. Yeah. Jeff notices, like you said before, with Larry in that scene. Jeff notices that Larry is starting to talk gay with words like fierce and with his
Yeah.
mannerisms and stuff.
Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
described as fierce. Like,
Yeah, everything's fierce.
like Larry's new improved dance skills, fierce.
Yeah, fierce. That's right. And Jeff says that he's actually become Steve the choreographer with
Yeah.
his movements, and Larry's like, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
Yeah,
And your voice is getting higher, and
Yeah.
like all that stuff that you mentioned as well. Like Jeff notices as well.
yeah,
Jeff looks at Larry's open locker and says it's a pigsty as Norm, one of the what we call the investors, quote unquote, of
Yeah.
the producers, walks in.
they're always with Mel and Larry whenever they have meetings in Mel's office.
That's right, and one of them broke rank.
Yeah, and also they both saw Larry with all the car wash guys in
That's
the previous episode, and they
and
just
Habus, yeah.
and Habus as well, and they think that they just don't like Larry. They've got it in for him anyway.
It's like I said in the last episode, it's one of those things where Larry has something which gives you an impression of him.
Yep.
Which, even though it's not part of his personality, and then you see him again and he just does a similar thing, and then it kind of reinforces. And to Norm, Larry's just a fucked up guy.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, and him spying the dirty locker just adds to that impression.
It does. Yeah, it's always that compounding. Even over several episodes, it compounds.
Yeah.
which is very clever writing. Jeff asks when they'll play golf with Marty and his father Leo. Norm says that Leo yesterday succumbed to Hodgkin's, so he died. And Jeff and Larry are kind of in shock. And Larry and Jeff, you think, oh my god, that's terrible. We're going to pay our respects. They talk about good Hodgkin's.
Ugh.
I.e. able to be cured. It's like, what's good Hodgkin's and all this kind of stuff, because Larry thought, good Hodgkin's, oh yeah, Mr. Funkhauser probably just needs like some treatment, he's good.
He'll be fine.
Probably his age, and maybe it was like an advanced stage. They found it too late or something, and chemo and radiation probably wouldn't have done nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, if anything, we'd rather give you a good 3 months to live instead of like in pain for a year.
Yeah, it's a case of like, I don't know the actual statistics of survivability for either one of the Hodgkins that exists. As we learn a bit later in this episode, it's not a case of good, and it's not like one is 1 in a million and one is 1 in 100.
No.
It's like one's 1 in 100, one's 2 in 100. Like they're both still high rates of death or serious illness. One's just a bit better.
Yeah.
So it's not good. It's just slightly better.
It's slightly better, which Larry can't get his hand around. But
No.
it's funny how Jeff gets in on it too.
Yeah. I think, is this the scene where Jeff challenges him, like, where did you get the idea of good Hodgkins for? And that's when Larry says, from Party of Five.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes,
Yeah,
that's right. I was just about to say that. So Larry claims he used to watch Party of Five, and one of the characters had the good Hodgkins. So as in, like, Hodgkins, not non-Hodgkins.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And he was cured. So there you go.
So that must be reality.
It must be reality. Larry and Jeff are returning their stuff to the club, and the attendant Sven is there. Larry says, "Oh, Sven, you're from Sweden? Is it Swedish?" And Sven goes, "No, I'm Norwegian."
Yep.
And Sven says that Norway and Sweden are completely different.
Yeah, they've got different food, cultures, histories, people, languages.
Yeah,
and you can see he's deeply offended straight away.
As
soon as Larry suggests, and Larry's not being rude, he's just sort of being polite, like,
And
"Oh,
they're
Sven."
very
Like,
similar, yeah.
he's just curious about his background or the origins of his name.
Yeah.
But as soon as he suggests he's Swedish, Sven's really nice to Larry, but as soon as he says that he's Swedish, he just changes his tune. He's just offended, very short.
Yeah, he's not happy.
No.
He's not happy. And it comes back to bite him a bit later, of course.
Yeah.
Larry is at the rehearsal room chatting to David Schwimmer, and he's in a suit ready to go to Leo's funeral. Larry says to David that he bought a couple of Health Glow packets, and he complains to him about the lack of cashews. And he's like, "Why is there not many nuts in here? Not many cashews?" David claims that cashews are expensive and that there's been a shortage for a number of years.
I like how Larry goes, "Well, I didn't read anything about a cashew shortage," and David Schwimmer's just like, "Well, you're not in the industry."
No, you're not in the industry.
That's industry news. That's not mainstream news.
No, that's industry.
You got to be in the nut industry to know about the current availability of the nuts.
Well, these days with the proliferation of the internet, you'd know about a cashew shortage.
Yeah.
There's shortages every time there's a shortage. It's fucking on the news.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I was perusing a mainstream website like ABC or I don't know news.com or something, if I saw a headline saying, current cashew shortages, I wouldn't click on it. I don't care.
You don't care. No.
Like, I would probably care if I'm like, I really want some cashews, and I went down to the shops and I couldn't find any.
and then grabbed Health Glow.
Yeah, and then I went to 6 other shops and there was no cashews. I'm like, what's up here? I'd research it. But as a general topic of interest, I don't care about cashew shortages.
It sounds like David Schwimmer has quite a stake in Health Glow.
Yeah,
it's fictional David anyway.
I could imagine a situation where, David found massive success financially with friends. Maybe he's an investor. Maybe he's like, maybe he's like his dad's investor.
Right.
Maybe it was like a local business that was, going okay, and David's like, I can infuse you with a lot of cash to really increase the size of the business.
Yeah, maybe
and
he's
got a
become
business
an investor or maybe a partner or something.
Yeah, because David Schwimmer by the end of Friends was like $1 million an episode.
Yeah, at least, yeah. They were all making $1 million.
Yeah. And $1 million just once off to a small business. That's that's huge.
Yeah.
So how many millions has he got? How much can he invest? Stupid amounts of money. So yeah, he's probably an investor into his dad's business.
Or was Health Glow already like an established company?
I think it was established, but it just if David infused cash into it, it just helped it grow more.
Yeah, cool. I was under
he turned it from Health Glow to Health Grow.
Oh, we did. Yes, he made it Health Grow indeed. All right, you're doing that little little shake. You were impressed with that one, aren't you?
Pretty self-satisfied.
I was under the impression that Health Glow was already like an established company, but big. But then you're right. Then David came in and made
companies can always grow.
Yeah, always, always room for growth.
Look
even at Apple.
Yeah, Apple is
Apple's on the way to a $3 trillion market cap.
Yeah.
3 trillion. What is that? 3,000 billion.
Yeah, Australia's whole GDP for a year is $1 trillion.
Yeah.
So
Apple's worth 3 times as much.
Yeah, so
the current market on the way to $3 trillion.
It's ridiculous.
Amazing. So there you go. Sky's the limit.
Yeah,
we're going to see in the next 10 years like $10 trillion companies. $10 trillion will be like mid cap.
Yeah, probably.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Amazon Meta. If the Meta part works out, Microsoft.
They
Apple.
call them the FANG stocks. So Facebook, Apple, Amazon, was Netflix,
right,
and Google.
Okay,
Google as well. Yeah, they'll all be like 10 trillion easy.
Yeah,
no problem there.
Yep.
And yeah, you're right. Meta, if it all works out.
If it all works out.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, so yeah, David claims there's a cashew shortage, and yeah, you have to be in the industry to
have to be in
there.
I don't know. I just really like that.
It's a slight dig at Larry too.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. And, to be fair, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Larry suggests to call the packet flavour raisins rather than cashews and raisins. As David says they want an affordable snack.
And I like how Larry's like, add a few cashews for me. No big deal. And it's like, when you think about the actual logistics of that, like changing the recipe for something that's established and obviously popular, adding a few more cashews bumps the price up.
It does.
You've got to change
your whole shortage.
You've got to change your whole production schedule. You've got to change like your packaging, like what's labeled on there. Like it's a big deal to just add a few more little nuts to millions of packets.
And David understands that as well. And because David says people want an affordable snack. Like, if you just put all cashews, it's fucking like twice the price.
Yeah, people won't buy it.
It's meant to be like $2 or $1.50 for a packet or something.
Larry,
I charge like $5 for a fucking packet.
Larry doesn't think about the snack affordability of the working class. He's just like living in his Hollywood bubble, buying cashews willy-nilly like it's nothing. You can just buy a cashew farm.
He's having his maids feeding him cashews.
Yeah, he's having his cashews and eating it too.
Yeah, exactly. And
I can imagine Larry, if he was the king, he'd be like, let them eat cashews.
Oh no. And then he'll be on the guillotine.
Yeah.
His head will come
and
right
he'd still be like ranting about something stupid on the guillotine, like, why do
they make it so sharp?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Why do we have to crouch down?
Yeah.
Why don't they just use a sword?
Oh, my back.
Yeah.
I fell in the toilet again.
Why do you have a basket for the head? Like it's my head. Who cares? Like
just leave it on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Let the blood soak through.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you wearing a mask? Like
I'm not going to know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm going to be dead.
You're just some guy. You're just a random executioner. Like why? Yeah.
I'm not going to remember your face.
He would still be picking apart the minutiae of the world as he's about to get his fucking head lopped off.
As the blades coming
down.
Yeah.
Be like, what?
Yeah. Hilarious. That's awesome.
All this over cashews?
All the cashew farmers wanted his head.
Yeah.
Funny. Larry arrives at Mr. Funkhouse's funeral and shows Jeff a letter he received about his dirty locker from the club. And if it isn't clean, that they'll suspend his membership. Larry says that Norm complained about it as he hates Larry. Jeff says there's not enough cashews in Larry's snack. Because Jeff grabs a couple of raisins and he goes, what's this?
Yeah.
Where are all the cashews? It's ridiculous. Larry confronts Norm about outside the funeral before it starts about the complaint he made. Norm says the club doesn't like dirty lockers and that someone else was kicked out recently for the same thing. Norm denies he has anything to do with it, and of course we know that Norm did it, obviously.
Yeah.
As Larry and Norm do the stare down.
The stare off, yeah.
Yes, and that music plays in it.
Yeah, and they kind of move their eyebrows.
Yes. We saw that, I think, in season 2, Larry did that for the first time. Yeah, so...
And once or maybe twice last episode too.
Yeah, that's
so it's a bit more common.
It's a bit more common, and that music chimes in as well.
Yeah.
I like that. Everyone is inside the funeral, like the funeral area. I don't know. I don't think it was a church. I think it was just one of those funeral.
It's just like a funeral parlor.
Funeral parlor? Yeah, I guess so. The parlor.
Funeral venue.
Yeah, the venue, yeah.
Yeah.
And showing their respect respects to Mr. Funkhauser, as Larry and Jeff give their condolences to the family as they go through the line of family. Larry goes to Marty and asks if they can play golf together in the future. So it's like a totally inappropriate time. And Marty's like, oh man, my dad just died. Like, it's my dad's funeral. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. I think the idea of Larry, if he just said, let's play golf in the future, I think that's actually a nice thing because he's saying like,
yeah,
it's like saying, I don't know, like it's like if one of your friends breaks up with their partner and they're really sad, it's like, let me take you out for dinner or some drinks and like, let me just be supportive and do something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
If Larry just offered that, I can imagine...
That'd be okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But then when he mentions the golf tip, it's just like, that's
exactly what I was going to say.
It's gone from something like a nice gesture to help out a friend who's going through a hard time to just, I want something out of this.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly what
I don't actually give a shit about you.
And that's when Marty's like, I don't want to.
Yeah. It's like, I'm in mourning.
My dad just died. Yeah, I'm in mourning. Yeah, just leave me alone. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's no empathy, I keep saying, from Larry. Jeff spots the Party of Five rider, Jeff Rosenthal, and he says, oh, yeah, that guy who rode on Party of Five. He happens to be
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. I know, right? Larry goes up to him and asks if one of the characters had good Hodgkins. And here we go. And Jeff explains. So not Jeff Green, Jeff Rosenthal.
Yep.
So this is Jeff Rosenthal. So Jeff Rosenthal, this is where I got it from the survivability rate. Jeff Rosenthal explains that there's Hodgkins and non-Hodgkins. And Hodgkins, which the character had, has a better survival rate.
Right.
Higher likelihood of surviving after 5 years.
Yep.
So there you go. Yeah. So that's where he got it from. Yeah. And Larry says that it is actually a better one, but Jeff says, like you said many times, having Hodgkins is still no good.
Well, no, Larry says Larry insists that it's good.
Yeah, it's
and then
good,
the guy's like, well, neither of them are good. And then Larry changes it from good to better.
To
And the guy's kind of agrees. He's like, well, yes, technically it is better.
It is, but it's never good to have it in the first place.
Yeah, fucked is fucked.
Yeah, because you still got to go through chemo. Chemo rips through your body.
Yeah.
It can ruin you.
Yeah, if your options are totally fucked and slightly less totally fucked, still totally fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Jeff Rosenthal kind of puts it into perspective for Larry. Yeah.
I'm surprised Jeff, like, maybe because he knows Larry or knows of Larry because he's a fellow writer or something, but he actually, like, if someone came up to me and said, hey, you're a writer on Party of Five, let's talk about
should have known who he was,
or
right?
Known of him, I guess.
Wasn't Party of Five on the same... It might have been maybe on a different channel.
I don't know.
As NBC, but even then... Like,
different worlds, though. Like sitcom and drama, different kind of worlds.
Yeah, maybe. But you still think they would have met each other at the Emmys or something.
Yeah, they've probably crossed paths at some point. But Larry's like, he doesn't really care about the Hollywood stuff much.
No,
he's not really much into schmoozing or... and he's a bit older as well. And, he's probably a bit out of touch with the younger writers and what's hitting on TV at the moment. But, like, the writer, Jeff, he actually deals with the conversation pretty well.
Jeff Rosenthal,
it's an awkward topic. Larry just comes up and asks him some pretty heavy stuff out of the blue without sort of like getting to know him.
Yeah.
And Jeff, like, he's probably a bit weirded out, but he sort of keeps it together.
Yeah.
He's handling it well.
Yeah. Or maybe he already knew Larry David from Seinfeld, so he's like,
he's probably got an idea of who he is, that he's just a bit of a...
He's probably heard in his circles that Larry's a bit of an eccentric guy.
Yeah.
Even real life Larry is very eccentric. You see him in interviews and stuff. He's almost like he is on the show.
Yeah.
But probably not as neurotic.
No.
But he's more grounded, but still a bit crazy.
Well, Larry has Asperger's, right?
Asperger's, does he?
Oh, he's got some form of autism. I think so.
Oh, okay.
He's on the spectrum. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which... everyone presents differently if they're on the spectrum, but a lot of his behaviors are very typical of someone, not understanding social cues.
Yeah.
I don't think his character does. Real Larry David does.
No.
Yeah.
Real Larry David. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to Google it.
Well, my friend who is also on the spectrum told me that last week.
Oh,
and she's a massive Seinfeld and Larry fan, so...
Cool.
Yeah.
It worked out. Yeah, well, he has all the traits...
I'm taking her at her word.
He has all the traits of someone with ASD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Even real life Larry, you can see that too. He goes away from Jeff Rosenthal, goes back to Jeff Green, his friend, to explain what happened, and Jeff says that Hodgkins is still bad.
Yeah.
It's still fucked.
Stop using the word good.
Like you said, totally fucked or slightly totally fucked.
Yeah.
It's just, you're still fucked either way.
Yeah.
Larry spots something in Leo's open casket. It's Larry's 5-wood.
Yeah.
He thinks that maybe as revenge, Sven swapped the woods.
Yep.
Maybe.
For calling him Norwegian instead of Swedish.
So then the wood would get... Yeah, that's right. Calling a Norwegian guy Swedish, which I don't know if that's offensive to Norwegians. I got no idea. I think we got some listeners in Norway. I don't know.
I've met and known a lot of I lived in Finland for a little while.
Oh, you did?
They're all slightly different, obviously. They're different countries and cultures and histories. But every Scandinavian person I've ever met is pretty bloody easygoing. Like, I think they would laugh at it. Like, if you tried to, like, really insist that there's no difference in their cultures, they might become a bit more defensive. But if you just mistakenly call someone Swedish who's actually Norwegian, or a Finnish person Danish because you're not familiar with the country, or you're not haven't done a lot of research into their actual distinct histories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every Scando person I've ever met is like pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
They're pretty relaxed. They're just like, they would find it funny.
Sven just had a bee in his bonnet on that particular day.
Yeah.
And as revenge, he swapped out the woods.
Yeah.
Funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Larry asks for Jeff's 5 wood, which Jeff refuses to give until Larry convinces him. So the idea is they're going to swap out the woods before they go bury Mr. Funkhauser. Larry goes to Jeff's car to obtain his 5 wood, a Callaway Great Big Bertha, as they prepare to switch clubs for what is in the casket. They go back inside to try and pull off their trick. Larry goes to get the wood from Mr. Funkhauser and it's stuck in his hand. He tries to release it as the switcheroo is complete. So they actually go ahead with it. I thought someone would have spotted Larry trying to grab it and that would have been like the end of the scene.
That's what I thought was going to happen, that they would get caught and then Larry would have to explain what he's doing. I thought the scene in and of itself is very morbid anyway. Just the idea of I would understand
compromising with a cadaver.
Yeah, I would understand being a bit pissed off, like, hey, like that's my golf club, and if it's your favorite golf club, like it's reasonable to be a bit annoyed by the fact that it's going to be buried forever.
Yeah.
But going so far as to
actually
wrestle it out of a fucking...
Yeah.
I think what made it even more dark is the fact that Larry couldn't get it out of his hand because of rigor mortis. He's stiff and he's like trying to... It was almost like it was glued into his hand. And him like trying to reef it out of his hand and like really struggling. That just added an extra level of darkness to a very dark scene.
It did, yes.
Well, not even dark, just fucked up.
Yes. So the switcheroo is complete. It cuts to the procession. Dr. Funkhauser is talking at the funeral as everyone is in mourning. In front of Larry and Jeff, a guy with dandruff is scratching his head, and all this dandruff just is in his hair. That's disgusting. And they both look at each other and go, "Yuck, that's fucked." Dr. Funkhauser calls over Marty to see if this is his dad's 5 wood because they're thinking this is a bit weird. He says someone must have switched it, and the whole crowd gasps. And they're also looking at it, and they also notice a cashew which fell in the casket as well, and everyone stares at Larry in shock. The whole procession looks at him.
Dead giveaway.
And we're like, oh.
I mean, even if there wasn't a cashew, most of them probably would have assumed it's Larry anyway.
Yeah, doing that kind of stuff.
They're like, who here would do something like that? Probably Larry.
But I think the cashew was the giveaway.
Yeah, that was the final what's the word? The
final the straw.
Final straw?
I don't know.
No, there's a term I'm looking for. Anyway, doesn't matter.
The nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Pun unintended. No pun intended.
Marty, come here a minute. Is this his 5 wood? No. Someone must have switched it. What is that?
Is that a cashew?
Yeah, it's a cashew.
The Davids and the Greens, they're back at the Greens' house, and they've been kicked out of the club. Even Susie and Cheryl. Susie says, we drop Sammy there at the daycare and all that stuff. We can't even use that stuff.
Cheryl plays tennis there.
Yeah.
It's not just important for like prestige or we're part of a snooty club. It's like
it's part of their lifestyle.
It forms a huge part of their social circle.
It does.
And it's important to them for many reasons.
And Susie says Jeff's name was engraved in the 5 wood, you dumb fat fuck.
Yeah.
You fat fuck.
What does he say? He's like, didn't you think you'd see your own name engraved there?
His name engraved in there. His name was engraved in
there. Yeah,
it.
sometimes like Larry and Jeff are just like Beavis and Butthead, just like two dumbasses who go through with some stupid plan and not actually think about the consequences or think about the risk. They just act on impulse. Sometimes they just remind me of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, they do.
Like just blind leading the blind.
I love this scene because they're both cowering on the couch, Larry and Jeff, and Susie and Cheryl are like talking over them. They're standing up and they're just like talking like down to them. It's so great.
It's sort of scene like Larry will often, like we've discussed many times, sometimes when there's a bit of a debacle, you could argue, is it like Larry's fault or are people overreacting? This is a case of like, there's no way for Larry or Jeff to explain themselves out of this. Of like, oh, well, this other guy did this thing and this other person said that. It's just like you swapped a golf club.
And
again,
the
golf club was important.
Golf clothes as well.
Yeah, you swapped a golf club at a funeral, like out of a dead man's hands. Like that's beyond fucked up. There's no way. There's no loophole. There's no what if or what about or this guy did this or what about this person who said this or it was my. You can't.
And we got kicked out of the club too.
Yeah. Like you can't. Like this is just airtight. You fucked up majorly. And now you fucked all of us. Like, there's no... Larry often will try and explain his way out of a situation or say, oh, well, this other thing happened or justify it. It's just like... It's, you can't do anything or say anything.
Yeah, I think they're more angry that they got kicked out of the club. But I think also compromising with Mr. Funkhauser's cadaver.
Yeah, I mean, that's a line that you do not... no one should cross and you can't... There's no justification for it.
Absolutely not, no. They wonder what they're going to do. Cheryl says that there's another club who may be taking members. And Susie says that's a club for WASPs,
There's like 3 Jews and waspy Republicans.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestants, for those who don't know. So basically, white people.
It's
White
a,
Republicans.
it's a certain sort of money. It's a
Certain
certain
sort
sort
of
of white
money, yeah.
person. So traditionally, WASPs, the cliche of a WASP are like old New Englanders, old
Yeah, yeah.
Massachusetts people, old like New Yorkers, like old sort of like old money, rich white people,
Yep.
usually conservative, or usually socially fairly progressive, but financially
conservative, yeah.
financially and politically quite conservative.
Yeah.
But there are like different versions of WASPs. There are like Republican WASPs, which are more in Texas and stuff, like
Yeah,
oil
sure.
WASPs.
Oh, right.
But it's usually just like old rich white people who are conservative, old American money, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's they're going to
There's,
try and
there's
get
a few
rid of
different
WASP,
versions
yeah.
of them, but yeah, they're dealing with the Californian Texan, the Western WASPs,
The Western WASPs, yeah.
which are more Republican and they are slightly different culturally to the East Coast WASPs.
That's right. The Californian Republicans are a bit different.
Yeah.
Susie tries to convince Larry to make an application for all four of them to the new club as she walks off.
Yeah, didn't she say she knows someone at the club?
Yeah. And they'll get an interview for them. Larry cuts to him in the bathroom. He's trying to get Oscar out to go to the toilet, so Oscar's in the bathroom. Larry is about to sit on the toilet, and Oscar goes for his crutch. It's implied off screen that Oscar took a bite of Larry's penis. Larry runs out saying the dog bit his penis. I love how his pants are down, and he's like,
holding his dick. It's like, the dog bit my
And then
penis.
Susie's like, that once again reinforces to Susie, like, were you trying to, get
What were you doing?
Oscar to blow you or something?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Reinforces it.
We are kicked out of our country club because of a fucking 5-iron?
It's a 5-wood.
Jeffrey, you didn't know the golf club had your name on it? Fucking idiot! What are we supposed to do now? All right? Where's Cheryl gonna play tennis?
That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where am I going to play tennis?
Larry is at the hospital. Larry and Cheryl say that the dog should be... Cheryl says that the dog should be put down. Jeff says it's not the first time this has happened, as Larry got a boner after he pet Oscar. Larry tries to explain what happened that other night. Cheryl says that it's probably why Ted won't let Larry look after the dog.
It all comes together.
It all comes together. So all
Yeah.
three of them are in the waiting room, and that's
all the mysteries are resolved.
That's right. So that's why Ted and Mary are like, no, we don't want Larry
Yep.
to do something to our dog. Larry goes to the emergency room, and the doctor is watching over him. And the doctor is Anthony. We find out Steve's friend.
Steve's friend, yeah.
Larry explained what happened to him very sheepishly. Anthony is stunned when he realizes it's Larry David, and he introduces himself as Steve the dancer's friend, Anthony. And he asks Larry to stand up and show him the damage of his penis. And the image of Larry standing up with his cock out
Yep.
and Anthony sitting down, I thought maybe I was picturing Steve coming in
Yep.
and maybe like coming in, oh, it's a surprise, Anthony, I'm here.
Yep.
Oh my God, what's
Yeah.
going on? I
Yep.
was expecting like him to walk through that curtain, but
Yep.
it didn't happen.
No.
So
No.
that would have been like the cherry on top.
I think, just the fact that it was similar positioning to like how a blowjob is shot.
That's right, yes.
The
yes,
camera
yes.
angle and the position of people, but this is a doctor examining an injury.
Yes.
And the fact that,
It's a penis.
yeah, but Larry's unaware of who he is. Like, it works. It's a very well written scene.
Yeah, it is.
I just think it's really good.
Yeah, I was absolutely, it was. And I was
Really smart.
And I love how Anthony's just kind of like laughing at it as well. He's just like, yeah, dog bit your penis.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
But he's obviously, because he says, "Oh, Steve told me a lot about you." Like,
Yes,
he's obviously
yes,
got a
yes.
bit of a crush on him from afar because he's looking for someone, and now he's here. He's like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
too good to be true," and I'm going to see his dick. But he's also got to be professional because he's a doctor.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot going on, and the way that awkward dynamic, and the fact that Larry's unaware of what's going on, like he doesn't know who he is or like why he's being a bit sort of like awkward and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's
smart.
really, really great. I know. It was a great scene. But like I said, I was expecting Steve to burst through that curtain.
Yep.
It didn't work out. Larry and Cheryl arrive at the Republican WASP Club for their interview the next day. Larry and Cheryl both try to sound very formal and very Republican, I guess
Yeah.
you could say, in front of them. As Cheryl explains how they met at a Ronald Reagan fundraiser.
They do pretty well considering they're just making it up on the spot.
They
They're
are,
like, so
yes.
what other organizations are you part of? And like, oh, well, I'm an elk and I'm a moose. And,
Yeah.
and-
I've been involved in this club and this,
Yeah.
this, and it's like nearly every club, Republican club you can think of. It's like,
Yep.
and they seem
Yeah.
to be very interested. Like,
Yeah.
yes. They seem to be building a rapport with the club managers as they try and convince them to sign them up. Larry lies about being injured after playing polo and having a similar swing for golf. They lie about being sailors and having a schooner at the marina. it's just lie after lie. And
they're
Cheryl-
they're just saying like, what do rich white people do? They play
Yeah.
polo, they go sailing.
Yeah, they have yachts.
They have
Yeah.
yachts. They're they're at country clubs. I'll
That's
just
right.
say all that stuff, and
Yeah.
these two Republican idiots think that these like Californian Jews, or David being a Californian
Yeah,
Jew,
David,
and Cheryl, I don't think she's Jewish.
No,
but,
she's
you know,
Catholic. I
You know,
think,
she's
yeah.
Jewish by extension
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that she's married into the culture, and Larry,
Yeah.
totally opposite politically.
Yeah.
They're just like it just
And,
they
yeah.
just buy it all.
And they do, and the lies just go deeper and deeper as Larry keeps going with made-up stuff he's done. All conservative organisations, of course.
Yeah.
The board members seem happy with the interview as Larry tries to get an exemption to use a golf cart that he got from Anthony, because one of the things that they mentioned in a previous scene that they don't use golf carts much at the club.
Yeah,
they
Larry-
walk around a lot.
Yeah, Larry, and when they're thinking about whether we should try and join this club, that's when Larry's like, "Oh, there's an excellent golf course." Oh, but they don't use
can't
golf
use the
carts.
golf carts, yeah.
And Larry and Jeff are like, "No, we can't do
Yeah.
that because we can't join that club because we don't want to walk."
No.
And that's when Susie has a dig at Jeff and says, "You know,
You need to walk more.
Yeah, you could
need to
walk a bit.
exercise more.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
help you, you fat fuck.
You
yeah,
fat
yeah,
fuck.
that kind of shit.
Yeah.
yeah, and then Larry got Dr. Anthony to write him an exemption.
Yeah,
to
hands
have a
him
golf
a note.
Yeah.
The manager's a note.
Oh,
you know,
no.
like why we need to use a golf cart.
Dog bit my penis. No, I don't think
Yeah.
he said that. In the final scene, Larry is in his office and he calls Delilah, the dental hygienist, and says he can't make it for dinner tonight. He explains that the dog bit his penis, and she hangs up abruptly.
Yep.
So that's off. So his 10-year anniversary fuck is...
Another
gonna wait
prospect
no,
gone.
that's right, and probably something else he's got to work on.
Yep.
That was The Five Wood, my favourite episode so far of this season. I give it 4.5 Larrys out of 5. What about you?
I give this one 5.
5.
I thought it was
perfect.
a perfect episode.
It was amazing.
My
Yeah,
favorite
it was great.
scene in this episode, and probably my favorite scene in Curb so far out of all 4 seasons, is the meeting at the end when they're trying to, like, they're lying about being Republican. I don't know, something about it just really tickled me. I think as well, you know, being Republican in 2004 was probably something that a lot of people didn't want to admit because of George Bush and the war and stuff. Like,
Right, yeah.
it kind of, you know, was kind of topical, and just, I don't know, something about the scene just really, I just loved it.
And they kind of put on their voice to make them sound a bit more...
Yeah, they're a bit more well-spoken.
well-spoken,
and, you know,
yeah.
And there's less like Larry being like typical, you know, he's not like, oh, like he's not as sort of, he doesn't sound like
He's
himself.
not doing his like Woody Allen-esque kind of voice.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think as well, you know, whether it was intentional or not, Larry does most of the talking, which is probably like a similar dynamic amongst conservative couples where the woman, you know, is speaking a bit less.
Yeah.
You know, the man sort of, you know, it's a meeting amongst men. Men have to talk.
Yeah.
Again, whether it was deliberate or not, it played well into the scene and the image they were trying to portray.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fucking love this episode.
I think it's a
thought it was
great
brilliant.
episode too. I like how David Schwimmer's introduced.
Yep.
And David Schwimmer, you start to see the wheels beginning to fall off.
Yeah,
With Larry.
yeah.
And just the whole funeral thing was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Too. It was great.
One of the darkest things that Larry's done.
Yeah, it was dark but funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and a lot of moving parts in the episode, a lot of different like sub storylines and stuff, and it just was handled. These last 2 episodes, I think, are
Solid.
just really, again, it feels like they wrote them as one long episode and chopped it in half. Like it feels
Yeah,
just so,
yeah, it's a
it just
continuation.
flows so on.
Yeah.
In terms of storyline, it flows directly on, but in terms of vibe and feel, it's just synced up beautifully.
It's amazingly good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely the last 2 episodes have been great. And the show just gets better and better.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next rest of season 4.
Indeed.
It'll be amazing. Anyway, that was another episode of Curbcast. Thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe to us on any podcast service, Apple, Spotify, Google, any of those ones. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts as well. That would help us out a lot. And it helps with the algorithm as well. So if you search Curb Your Enthusiasm podcasts, the more reviews we get, the higher up we are on the list. So that would help with exposure and showing off this podcast to some more Curb fans as well. And we have an email address as well if you want to reach out and say g'day, curbcastpod@gmail.com. And Stephen, we're on socials too.
That's right. Our handle is CurbcastPod. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit if you want to say hello on any of those. And we have a Facebook group too called Curb Your Enthusiasms. Just type that in and join and have some fun.
Yes, my name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
We'll catch you next week for the start of the second half of season 4 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. We can't wait. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.